Hey everyone, it's Angelica Cole, and we have not one, but two new letters from our least favorite prisoner at El Paso County CJC. Letecia Stauch sent 2 more letters to fellow YouTuber Kit Kat, so shout out to Kit Kat for continuing to communicate with Crazy Letecia and for letting us in on her wild journey. And it is wild, and it's getting wilder, you guys. And with that, I just want to say that it should be noted that these letters appear to be dated at the end of November, and that would have been before the second competency evaluation and before the ultimate decision where Letecia was found competent. So I do wonder if these letters will now change now that she was found competent, but these letters from Letecia are ridiculous and yet completely fascinating, because with everything that Letecia does, you get like 2 parts fantasy and lie and 1 part half truth. And I feel like I'm always looking for the truth within those lies. So the first letter appears to be dated approximately November 28th. It's hard to see. And Letecia jumps right in with this letter and starts describing her mental state and says that she feels like she might have multiple personality disorder. And she begins introducing her 3 personalities. So we've got Taylor, Janelle, and Tisha. So the letter from Letecia starts out very normal. What's up? How have you been? But then she dives right in. I don't know how to explain it, but by saying, imagine being in a bubble, trapped with 3 people. Taylor is who I am and wanted to be. Janelle is a vampire, but a sweet one. And Tisha is who I always hated to be. You see, Tisha is manic, out of control, impulsive, confused. She was molested by her stepfather. She watched a student die in a horrible death at school. Boyfriend stabbed her. She was abused by Travis and kidnapped by him and beat in the head. She was cheated on constantly by her spouse and used physically and sexually. Can you believe he wanted her to wear a strap-on? And she has so many out-of-body experiences. Then Letecia goes on to explain alter ego number 1, Janelle. She says, then Janelle. She is fierce, a vampire with special powers, member of Team J, dates Jonathan, feeds monthly off the dead, and lives in a concentration camp. Then she goes on to say, Taylor is who I am and wanted to be, but they hold me hostage from false info and persecute me daily. And then she ends the letter with one little interesting piece of information that actually appears to be true. And she says, plus Leanne is not my middle name, so I'm wrapped in one big conspiracy. And this is just kind of interesting because if you look at her charges from Horry County from 2009, her name is listed as Letecia Lynn Harden. But now, according to El Paso County, they've got her as Letecia Leanne Stauch. So it's just interesting, where did the Leanne come into play? And then this letter is signed Taylor Stauch. Additionally, it should be noted that she also has Bloodbath, Branded, and North Carolina, all kind of listed at the top of this letter as well. So while most of this letter is ridiculousness, there are some minor takeaways here. She's not mentioning her involvement with Gannon, but there is some admission to the fact that she is out of control, that she's impulsive, that she's manic, and she's also bringing to light these new allegations of SA against her stepfather. And this is potentially very alarming, given the fact that Al also has an SA issue in his family. Now you've got Letecia stating that she had SA in her family. So now we've got 2 adults who have potential SA that were living with these children. So this is definitely just an alarming situation all the way around. On top of that, I would love to dive into the things that she mentions about Al with cheating and the interesting bedroom requests. There's been lots of rumors about this stuff, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. I will say, though, that every time she brings this stuff out about Al, it definitely starts to kind of smear that pretty perfect picture that you saw of him in the beginning. So while the first letter was written by alter ego Taylor, the next letter is supposedly written by alter ego Janelle. And although she describes Janelle as a sweet, fiery vampire, it does appear that Janelle has quite the knowledge for the street life, as she uses the word "cuz" 17 different times throughout this letter. And because of this, I'm not going to read the letter word for word, but I will be reading you just the important points. So this letter appears to be dated November 30th, and she starts in, "Good morning. I wanted to write you to let you know I got to talk to Edgar on the phone today. Well, I talked to his cousin, and we use code words. Alex Rodriguez is his code name between me and his cousin. I got his other letter written by him yesterday from the streets and passed through the fishing line. He is laying low avoiding charges, but will testify and bounce to Florida after to avoid court harassment charges. Whatever works for him following the family attorney's suggestion/advice. Once you are in the game, remember, snitches are bitches and are buried deeper than ditches." So I know what not to say on the quote-unquote family business. Training is on hold due to some human virus. I mean, the vegetarians are eating veggies, so the humanitarians should be eating humans. Come see me. I don't bite, just nicey nice style from the H2 vampire. So thanks, my health level is 7. And then she signs this letter from Janelle with no last name. And then at the bottom, it appears that she's having like this conversation between her alter egos. And she starts with Taylor and it says, "Hey Janelle, do you think you can turn me into a vampire?" And then Janelle appears to respond and say, "That's a good little Taylor. No, you have to be chosen, not nominated or self-selected. Only the brave and the fierce are chosen. If you qualify, you put in an application and we will call you." So this is fantastic information coming from Letecia. I think we were all curious how to apply to become a vampire, so now we know and we can get our applications sent in. So as you can see, you guys, this letter is mainly nonsense. She's continuing to keep up the vampire gangster persona. She talks about how she's using code words and names for people, and she's using the code name Alex for Edgar. So I find that a little curious. I also want to point out that previously Edgar was going to be charged with manslaughter or should have been charged with manslaughter, but now she's so close with Edgar that he'll be actually testifying for her. So I found that a little interesting. But maybe my most important takeaway was the fact that she appears to have fully assimilated into the jail life. In September, she was still signing her letters to Judge Werner as Dr. Stauch, and yet by November, she's fully embraced the jail and gang life and is utilizing the word "cuz" at like every opportunity. So it just really kind of leads to the question of how did we get from Dr. Stauch to where we are in these letters? And with which of these personas are we getting to see the real Tecia? Is she possibly struggling with accepting what she's done and now has created these new personas to help separate herself and maybe even justify her behavior? Look, Tecia did that, but she's messed up. She's had all these things happen to her. But Taylor wouldn't do that. That's really who I am. So I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. It remains to be seen what she'll even say next. But Letecia did submit a motion for a conflict hearing where it appears that she may actually be trying to get new attorneys, and the court date is set for that on February 28th. So otherwise, preliminary hearings are still set for March 11th and 12th to kick off the trial. So stay tuned, folks. There'll be much more to come for sure. Thanks for watching.